And you are live.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the February 3rd regular work session of the East Hampton Town Board. Carol, would you please read the roll call?
You're muted.
Councilwoman Burke Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilman Lee.
Present.
Councilwoman Overby.
Here.
Councilwoman Rogers.
Present.
Supervisor Van Scoyac.
Present. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today's meeting will contain a public portion. We don't have any public hearings today, followed by resolutions. But before we get started, we have our town historian, Hugh King, here with us.
Good day, everybody.
Welcome, Hugh.
A couple of things. We were talking about Montaukets at the last meeting, and I had a couple of other points I wanted to make. The first thing is about these treaties that were signed between the townspeople in East Hampton and the Montaukets. Remember, the Montaukets had a different way of thinking about land ownership than the people in East Hampton, or the English did. It was the land was to be shared by everyone. Trying to get into the picture here. Which way am I going?
Go
the opposite direction you think it is.
I should go this way.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Thankfully, you only had two options.
Yeah, really.
He could have gone up or he could have gone down.
Yeah, I only have two options and I'm taking the third one. Okay. The treaties that were signed always guaranteed fishing and hunting rights for the Native Americans. But of course, as we know, through the years that waned, does this sound like the trustees' problem today?
Yes.
A little bit.
Yeah, so, and I don't think there were interpreters there many times when these treaties were signed. So who knew what the Montaukets were signing, or what they knew what they were signing? So that's one thing about these treaties that come on here, honey, you can sit here. Okay. Loretta's arriving at the meeting.
Good.
Great.
Okay.
Hello, Loretta.
There you go, honey. Okay. Okay. All right. The other thing is about Wyandanch was the, okay, Sharice, thank you. Okay. Wyandanch was the major domo of all the Indians on Long Island. That's not true either. When Lion Gardner bought his island, it was signed by the sachem of the Shelter Island Indians and his wife, the deed to the land. But this was typical of the English, and even Lion Gardner was involved with this. You promote one Native American chief, then you only deal with him. You don't have to deal with the entire tribe. And the other thing is the Montaukets lived at Indian Field. No, not completely. They moved around. When it was time to hunt, they would move their wigwams to certain areas, and when it was time to fish, they would move to certain areas. Okay, so that's my points on the Native Americans. Now, you ever hear of Lucille Teal? You know who she was?
No.
Lucille Teal was a teacher at East Hampton High School, and I believe she was the first African-American teacher to be hired by the school district. Certainly the first woman. You ever hear of Helen Hillman?
Yes. Real estate.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. She, I think, was hired by Condi Lamb.
Right.
And she may have been the first African-American real estate person in the town. She also told me that she was married at St. Matthew's Chapel that was on 3 Mile Harbor Road.
Yeah.
You certainly know Robert Cooper.
Yes.
Right? Bob Cooper was elected to the town board, and he was also on the East Hampton Town Police Force, a pioneer in both of those areas. Also had a Native American ancestry. And then you ever hear of Leroy DeBoard? Leroy DeBoard was unarguably the greatest athlete to ever come out of East Hampton High School. He also served on the town board, and he and Bob Cooper were the first African Americans to serve on the board. Leroy DeBoard became a guidance counselor in the Riverhead School District, and he was one of the first members to be elected to the East Hampton Athletic High School Hall of Fame. You ever hear of Queenie Davis? She was also known as Queenie Davis Parks.
Parks, Mrs. Yeah, she was third grade teacher.
That's right. But she has another notable achievement. Her father, George Davis, bought land next to the dump, okay? And he divided the parcels up and sold them to African-American families. Now, of course, as you know, the land near the dump was probably cheaper than land in the rest of that town. And the road is named?
Queens Lane.
Queens Lane. I think it's named after Queenie.
Queen Davis Parks, yes.
Leon Parks was also probably the first African-American administrator that we had in the town of East Hampton. And you've heard of Carrie Gilbert?
Yes.
Another great teacher, right, at the John Marshall School. And Sandra Vorpal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Sandra was a DeBoard. And you know, Dick Cooney just got elected to a certain Hall of Fame as the athletic director in East Hampton.
Yeah.
Well, guess who his second in command was for about 15 years?
Sandra.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's those two. Now I have two more. Councilwoman Gonzalez, you can't answer this question, okay? All right, here's the question. What is a xylophile? Or who is a xylophile? Or what is a xylophile?
Yes.
No? Councilwoman Gonzalez?
I don't know.
Well, it's a lover of beer.
Ah.
A lover of beer.
Yeah.
Now, where did
I'm
I
married to one.
I think you need to ask David that question.
Well, no, it was in the article in the East Hampton Press
Ah.
about Joe
I thought it
retiring.
was something you have to buy at Staples.
I
It sounded
had to
like.
go look it up. I mean, who would have thought we'd have the xylophile? Well, it's at so that's that one. And then my last one, and I'm leaving you next month or next meeting. You all have to come up with a question for me, okay?
Okay.
This time, okay?
Okay. Any questions?
One more, then I'm going. You know, when we talked last time about how different it is now, there are 3 women on the board and how special that is.
Uh-huh.
Well, real progress will be made when we don't have to point it out.
Yeah.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Can I
Thanks
just say
so
one
much.
thing? Real progress will be made when the office that Sylvia, Kate, and I hold is not called councilman in the state
Really?
legislation.
Oh, okay.
That needs to be changed.
Like
Okay,
contact.
well, I'm happy to sign on. I'm happy to sign on to a letter to get that changed.
Yeah,
I'm working on it.
I will too, okay?
Yes, now.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Hugh. Be
Thank you,
well.
everyone.
Best to Loretta.
Oh, isn't that good, honey? That's a good time. Yeah, no, okay. All right, I'm leaving. We're leaving.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Be well. Take care. Okay, before we get started with the rest of the public meeting, I would like to make a statement and address a few items regarding the town's ongoing process to deactivating the East Hampton Airport on February 28th of this year. Activating a new airport is planned for March 4th of 2022, and the town remains committed to the process and has no reason to believe that the new airport will not be available for use on March 4th. Despite some rumors going around in the community. Since November 2020, and in reliance of the FAA, the town has spoken at length, and the town has been publicly complying with the process recommended by the FAA. And as you may be aware, as of 2021, the town's public process included presentation of several studies prepared by airport consultants and numerous community feedback sessions and regular dialogue between the town and the FAA. The town continues to meet with the FAA on a regular basis to this day. The town submitted its deactivation notice on January 20th, 2022, pursuant to town board resolution. On the same day, the town submitted a separate activation notice for a new private use airport. The aeronautical study regarding the activation has been validated and is currently under review. The town continues to work with the FAA staff throughout this process and stands ready to provide additional information or answer questions as they arise. The town has been clear publicly, as well as with the FAA, that it must address community concerns regarding negative impacts that East Hampton Airport has on the town. The town will continue to use the public use airport, not continue a public use airport, as it is not consistent with the community's needs. Indeed, for decades and for mostly recently since 2015, the town has tried to work with the FAA to establish reasonable limits at the public use East Hampton Airport. The FAA did not provide assistance. The airport users did not provide assistance, and the town board undertook a robust process to inform decisions regarding the airport after expiration of the grant assurances. That is where the town finds itself today. Moving forward and consistent with the options provided by the FAA, the town essentially has two options that will allow it to exercise sufficient control to address the community's concerns about the airport noise, safety, and environmental impact. It can close the airport and seek public input to repurpose the land for something other than an airport. And it can open a private use facility with the prior permission required framework. The town has chosen to pursue option 2 at this time, as it reflects the community's desires and allows certain aviation activities to continue that are compatible with the town's stated goals regarding noise impacts of aircraft using our airport, and our commitment to sustainability and the reduction of the disproportionate effects of greenhouse gases in our community. In discussions with the FAA, the town has made it clear that the new private use airport needs to reflect the community in which it sits. Excessive overflight traffic, constant noise, and safety issues are not tolerable in East Hampton. That said, with appropriate controls, the town believes that the new airport will continue to provide benefits to the town. To that end, on January 26th, the town was clear with the FAA that it would prefer to offer instrument approaches, a private tower, other navigational aids at the new airport. However, the FAA would not permit these safety-based aspects to be incorporated at the new airport. The town would open a VFR-only uncontrolled airport. The town was also clear that if this occurred, the PPR framework would reflect this reality and only permit the number and types of operations consistent with an airport not having instrument procedures or a control tower. The currently contemplated PPR will likely include the ability for certain commercial operations to occur, but that may not remain true if the FAA will not authorize a tower, procedures, or Class D airspace. Again, the town would like this change of status to be seamless and as least disruptive to aviation as possible. But if the FAA is not equipped or fast enough to allow the town to utilize instrument procedures and a tower, the town will simply offer the general aviation community an uncontrolled municipal airport. After business hours last night, the FAA sent a letter to me regarding obstacles it foresees with its internal processes regarding activation of a new airport. Undoubtedly, many of you may have already heard, and if not read, this letter, as it was circulated in the press and certain airport users before it was received by the town itself. In any event, we are posting it on the town's website today to ensure everyone has access to the FAA's letter. Regarding the letter, I was dismayed and frankly floored to read that the FAA stated in writing that the East Hampton Airport may not be operating in a safe manner. We have relied on FAA oversight at East Hampton Airport, as we were required to do for decades. There's never been a suggestion from the FAA that East Hampton Airport was unsafe, that the airspace is unsafe, that the procedures are unsafe, or that the town's privately contracted air control tower is unsafe. Just the opposite is true. As an example, as recently as December of 2021, the FAA has reviewed the airspace at East Hampton Airport and upgraded it during non-tower times from Class G to Class E. At no point during the process did the FAA suggest that the town of East Hampton Airport or its airspace is unsafe. Similarly, the instrument procedures are routinely updated by the FAA, including as recently as February 2019. Simply put, my colleagues on the town board and I are shocked to see that the FAA suggests that an airport under its review is possibly operating unsafely. If that is in fact the case, the town would close the airport immediately to ensure that it does not pose a safety issue to the community. Beyond that shocking aspect of the FAA's letter, I want to address a few other points. The FAA never once in its letter states that a new private use airport will not be available on March 4th. We remain confident that it will open on that date and look forward to ushering in a new chapter of aviation in East Hampton that is consistent with the concerns that have been raised by so many of you. The town believes that all of the issues raised by the FAA can easily be addressed by the FAA if it chooses. Any delay by the FAA will be self-inflicted and unnecessary. The FAA acknowledges in a letter that it has the ability to repurpose procedures that are safely in effect now for a private use airport to avoid any disruption of service. We encourage them to do so. The FAA suggests that the town needs to obtain equipment, but much of what is needed the town already owns, such as the weather system or AWAS, certain navigational aids on the runway. The town has also self-funded its own air control tower since 2013. In reality, the town just needs to transfer ownership of one of its runway lights and continue with the reimbursable agreements regarding communication equipment that have been in place for years. This is an easy issue to address, and the town made it clear in the past with discussions with the FAA. Nearly all the purported issues stem from the town's decision to change the status of the airport from public to private use. The town's decision to deactivate the airport and activate a new airport is not driving much of the FAA's concerns. Instead, is simply the fact that the town would like to operate reasonably private use airport facility that includes instrument approaches, a tower, and other safety enhancing infrastructure. Moreover, the town does not intend to rely on the FAA or New York TRACON to implement and enforce its prior permission required restrictions. All this will be handled by the town. For example, enforcement will not prevent landing. Instead, it will involve other mechanisms available to the town that will be enforced upon landing. No impact to the national air traffic system will occur. The town's tower, its controller, and delegation airspace have occurred since 2013. The town is not asking for anything different than what occurred in the past. This issue can and should be addressed before the season begins in May. I want to reiterate one thing. To the extent that the airport is not authorized to open or any of its capabilities not improved, that is the direct result of the FAA turning its back on the town and deciding at the 11th hour that it cannot accomplish what it previously told the town was possible. It is disingenuous for the FAA to suggest that an extensive evaluation of whether the airport is safe to operate is required. It is not. East Hampton Airport has operated safely for decades, is operating safely today, and a new private use airport will operate safely on March 4th. Moreover, if forced to do so, the town can maintain a visual flight rule only uncontrolled airport if the FAA will not timely approve the tower or procedures. In concluding my statement, the town encourages all stakeholders to work cooperatively to complete this process. If you would like the airport to open with a new tower, instrument procedures, and generally reflect the true operating capabilities of East Hampton Airport, we encourage you to contact the FAA. The town remains confident that the private use airport will open on March 4th. It is within the FAA's hands where the airport will be controlled or able to cater to instrument flights. We see no reason why this can't be achieved and have no plans to change course. I know that in the circulation of the FAA letter, which, as I said, came in after business hours yesterday evening, we've had numerous inquiries from the press and from aviation interests who clearly got this message and this letter before the town itself. Town board members were not privy to that till this morning. I think that's really indicative of what's going on here. And I would hope that moving forward, that a more cooperative spirit would be engaged. That's all I have to say on that for this moment. I'm sure that we'll probably get some callers today inquiring about what plans are, and happy to address those. At this point, let's go right to those callers. Jason, if you would
Absolutely.
please open up the call lines.
All right. Unmuting first caller. Hello, caller ending 0673. You're on the air. Hello.
Oh, hi. Good afternoon. Supervisor, members of the town board. This is Erin King Sweeney, and sorry I have my dog barking in the background. I'm with the East Hampton Community Alliance, and just wanted to read a statement into the record. The process of opening an airport is important and complicated. EHCA is reviewing the FAA correspondence and remains committed to working with the town to develop workable solutions to satisfy the 80% of residents who want to keep East Hampton Airport open. Thank you.
Thanks so much for calling in, Erin. We appreciate your comments.
Moving on to next caller. Hello, caller ending 4478. You're on the air.
Sorry about that. This is John Dunning calling. I'm an airport user and a taxpayer, and I'm reading the FAA's letter right now. I question the statements about the airport being unsafe. I'm not reading into that at all. What I am reading is the FAA is cautioning you that if you close the airport, you're not going to be able to open it the way that you think you're going to be able to open it on March 4th. And I think that you guys have a safer alternative to take in this process. Thank you.
Thanks for calling, John. Next caller, please.
Okay. Unmuting next caller. Hello, caller ending 1197. You are on the air. Hello. Hello, caller ending 1197. You are on the air. Hello. Okay, moving on to next caller. Hello, caller ending 9652. You are on the air.
Yes, good afternoon to the board. My name is Robert Katine. I'm a user of the East Hampton Airport, as well as a certified flight instructor who gets part of his income from use of the airport. I also was concerned that in reading that letter, I don't see in any area that the FAA has said that the airport is currently unsafe, just that reopening it, they'd have to reevaluate the safety, etc. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you for calling, Robert.
All right. Moving on to next caller. Let's make sure I'm in order. Hello, caller ending 9444. You are on the air. Hello.
Hi, how are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Mark Sheldon, a resident of Say. Sorry to interrupt. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. Go ahead, Mark. Mark, last.
Mark Sheldon, I'm a resident of Sag Harbor, New York, and I've been out in the East End for over 25 years. As I've been part of these calls and meetings for some time, and after reading the letter that has come from the FAA, which is the oldest and largest transportation agency in the United States, I feel calling that letter disingenuous was rather not correct in its ability. And after reading the letter and seeing what has been explained in this letter, I feel the board has really no option at this point. I'm not saying in the future you can't change decisions, but at this point, to keep the airport open, I will quote,
At the meeting, we emphasized that the deactivation of the airport has genuine consequences. Once an airport is deactivated, it cannot be reopened with the same facilities and procedures simply by reactivating it. While this may not be intuitive obvious, we explained our regulatory structure need to maintain safety protocols and how this impacts the ability to open quickly. We explained the concrete actions that are taken upon deactivation, actions that once taken cannot be simply reversed. I will add one more quote. While the FAA will endeavor to expedite this process, you should be aware that it may take approximately 2 years to restore the current capacity to the airport if it is deactivated, depending on any potential environmental analysis as well. So the FAA has made their point of view extremely clear that this will not be able to be opened up on March 4th. There is an impossibility. There is no way. It cannot be done. It explains it in this letter right here. By closing this airport, getting rid of 800 jobs and $77 million of income to the tax coffers of our community, it would be an absolute travesty to the majority of the residents that are looking to keep this airport open to the minority that are looking to close them. I'm not saying the minority do not have their opinions and their facts and do not need some help in their issues. There's no question about that. But by jumping the gun and jumping, metaphorically speaking, jumping the shark, closing this airport will not give us the ability to do what you want to do on a long-term stretch with the plan that you're presenting at this point in time. It is written in this letter, it is stated, it is quoted. It cannot be done by March 4th.
So Mark,
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I think you've misread the letter. Nowhere in the letter does it say we can't open a private use airport on March 4th. It said that not all of the procedures that we would like, for instance, the certification of a tower, control tower, et cetera, may not be in place immediately. And we're aware of that.
Well,
but the FAA, excuse me, let me just finish, Mark.
I apologize.
If I may.
You got it.
What it does say is that there are procedures for doing that, and the FAA has the authority to make those changes. Again, trying to say that they have to analyze their airspace to make sure it's safe. It's either safe now or it's not safe. So I don't understand why these procedures, frankly, would have to be conditioned upon a 2-year study to see if our airspace is safe. I think that's a little hard to believe.
Well, what they're saying in any business is that when you change the type of service that you're doing, when you close down to reopen, whether it's getting insurance, which has to be done from scratch, whether it's getting telecommunication services, which has to be done from scratch, when you close, and it says, quote, finally, the town agreed to provide the FAA with a full list of facilities and functions that it wants for its quote-unquote new airport. We received the town's list on January 26th. We are currently preparing an itemized cost for each list of that item. There's more than just, you can't just transfer over a liquor license from one restaurant to another. You can't just transfer insurance from one business to another. So by going and shutting down on February 28th and thinking we can open up on the 4th, there are protocols and procedures that the FAA set up for safety every single time that they're going to go through from scratch from the very beginning. The same way if you were adding an addition to your own home, you'd have to go through the town board and the codes, and they'd have to check everything in the house from step one, not just saying we shut the house and it was approved and it was okay and you have your CO. They're going to double check that again, and they're going to do the same thing for an airport.
We appreciate you calling and giving us your comments.
Thank you.
All right, going on to next caller. Hello, caller, ending in 5678. You are on the air. Hello.
Hi, Peter, Mr. Supervisor, and everybody. This is Eric Saltzman. I've called before. I'm a pilot here for 54 years, a taxpayer. Our family has a local business in East Hampton for more than 15 years. So thank you for explaining the letter and saying that you got it. I heard in your voice a lot of pique that you got it late and that other people got it before you, but please put that aside. So just a few weeks ago at the public meeting, your attorneys, the Cooley Law Firm, made a slide deck and verbal presentation after more than $1 million in fees paid by the town. And in that presentation, Cooley Firm presented 5 options for the town to obtain local control of the airport. Two options were the primary focus of discussion. Option 2, quoting Option 2, the closure of the airport and subsequent opening of a new private use airport. And Option 5, transition the airport from public use to private use without closure. And the Cooley attorney, I went back and looked at the slides. It says, quote, new airport will open within days of airport's closure. And not only that, there's a timeline to the hour. It closes on February 28th. And the new airport opens on March 4th at 9 a.m. The FAA letter says it can't predict what issues will arise either with VFR, that's the Visual Flight Rules, or IFR. So there may be issues with even just visual good weather flying. At the meeting on the phone, at your last meeting, concerns about the feasibility of this close and the quickly reopen plan were batted aside, and everyone was given the impression, fully vetted, and the path was well understood and in place. And several callers, myself included, said, why not take the risky or the less risky option 5, and do this in a timely way with FAA cooperation? And that was batted aside. So with this letter, I really feel there's a loss of confidence now, and that this was predictable. If you say you had the assurance from the FAA, are you saying the FAA went back on their assurance? And if you had the assurance, why didn't you have it in writing? And it's really hard to understand how a municipality is going to play chicken with the FAA. I think that's what you're doing. I guess you're trying to decide if they have more interest, or you do, in having an airport open or an airport closed, and if they can bend their regulations, or if they can meet your requirements. And that was really not the assurance that everybody who attended the meeting in January, your board meeting on this subject, was left with. Everybody was left with the idea that you had this in hand. And apparently now, with the FAA, the federal government, is clearly telling you that you don't. So I think it's not too late to do the right thing. I really think you should step back and say, this didn't turn out the way you thought it would. It didn't turn out the way you presented to the public that it would. You should take a step back and go to option 5, which is work with the FAA, work with people in the set new standards, and take local control of the airport that way, instead of shutting it down. And truly, you don't know what's going to happen. If you do know, if you can assure everybody what's going to happen, I'd like you to do that now, so we really understand that you do know what's going to happen and that this game of chicken with the FAA is going to stop.
Eric, I appreciate you calling in your comments. And, I think it's somewhat indicative of what's starting to happen right now. The fact that this letter to me after hours yesterday was apparently made available to members of the press a week ago, but the FAA never informed us they were sending us such a letter, and that it was circulated amongst aviation interests ahead of town board members even receiving it. So I think that's really indicative of what's going on here. And we do believe that
Peter,
Let me finish my statement, please. I listened to you. What I think is really going on here is the reason we chose option 2 versus option 5 is that option 2, we believe, gives the town the authority and the ability to be flexible in the restrictions that we place at the airport. Option 5 would not give us that. And that is the difference. And I think that is why, the aviation community has been inflamed and is now responding in this way. And I think, frankly, that letter is just fuel for that flame.
Okay, I just want to say one more thing and I'll be quick. I'm not inflamed about the idea of, and most of the people I know who fly are not at all inflamed about having restrictions that are reasonable. In fact, I wish you would have them, because I think the airport could be run in a way that serves everybody much, much better. But I think that the way you're going about it is not going to succeed, and the FAA has basically told you that. I think really, you said again how this is being handled badly by the FAA, circulated to others or quote aviation interest before it goes to you. Just put that aside. I'd be bugged by it if I were in your position, that's for sure. Just put that aside. And I want to ask again, can you tell people in the community that the airport is going to open on March 4th?
I believe it is going to open.
Does this letter tell you?
This letter tells me that it may not be able to open with the tower in place and maybe with the instrument approach in place. Those things may take a little bit more time. The FAA has a great deal of discretion with any of those issues that they've brought up in terms of seeing that happen. And the fact that, frankly, we're not talking about operating this airport any differently initially than we're operating it right now, frankly, I think is a little bit suspect. And that they would have to study the safety of the airspace about a new airport. I'm sorry, we've been operating this airspace for decades. I just find that's a little disingenuous. And the fact that they have discretion, I think they're trying to move us off our path. And I believe that this is the right path, and the town board unanimously voted on this being the right path. Option 2 is the right way to go. And we want to keep this airport open. We want to be able to operate it in the safest manner possible. We would like to have all the additional amenities, AWAS, recertified, which we own, by the way. They don't own that. That's our equipment, as well as the tower, which we also own. And this presents for the FAA somewhat of a novel problem, and they're trying to work through it, and we're trying to work through it with them. But we see nothing that would prevent us from opening the VFR airport on the 4th.
One last quick thing, really quick, so people understand, and I think you do, but I'm not sure. A VFR airport, an airport without instrument conditions in our local environment, when fog comes in and out, is going to invite people to be unsafe because they may think they're flying in when weather is good and weather changes quickly, and people rely on the ability to execute a safe approach in marginal weather or even weather that turns bad quickly. If you open a VFR-only airport, you are going to be creating an unsafe situation, a truly unsafe situation.
Thank you for calling in, Eric. We appreciate your comments.
Second.
Jason, you have any other caller?
Yes, we do. Hello, caller 0431. You're on the air. Hello.
Hi, good afternoon, members of the town board. This is Catherine Fly, East Hampton town resident. Well, I think the wool has officially been pulled off of everyone's eyes as to what's been going on. I'm to say that I'm disappointed in the town's response to attempt to gaslight the FAA by trying to twist and, horribly contort their letter to try to make this as though they have somehow said that there's a safety issue. Actually, a really clear reading by even a novice of this letter will show them that there's no mention of there being a safety problem at the East Hampton Airport. That's something you've made up actually out of whole cloth, entirely to distract from the fact that callers like me, callers like people from Montauk, several people, I know Mr. Sabin, Mr. Schneiderman, have written letters telling you exactly how you have no plan in place, how this long list of requirements are necessary to be managed and taken care of prior to your actually having any possibility of opening a new airport. Everybody told you that you did not have a plan in place. Everybody told you that you needed to accomplish all of these tasks in order for a new airport to be open. You literally ignored and completely disregarded everything everybody has told you. you're now coming before the community once again, who can read this FAA letter themselves, and are trying to gaslight the FAA by saying that, oh, it's their fault, when in fact it's your fault. You're trying to say that the FAA will not permit you to have these safety features such as an instrument approach path or a control tower. How many times have I written you specific letters in the last 6 months alone, 6 months of letters, telling you that if you wanted to have an instrument approach path, there was a minimum of 180 days required to apply for that. And that if you wanted to have an air traffic control tower, you needed to have the air traffic control tower coordinated with TRACON and all of the air traffic control entities in advance. How many times have I written you letters? How many times have I called in here to tell you and caution you that you didn't have any of these things done, and questioned the validity of your claim that you were going to open this airport in 3 days? And for you to come before all of this community and say that it's the FAA who is preventing these safety measures from being put in place. No, it's you that have prevented these safety measures from being put in place by rushing to close an airport that everybody under the sun told you was reckless and poorly planned. There are so many things that you have said today that so far, I mean, you're saying that the letter is inflammatory. No, it's your actions that are inflammatory because you have blatantly misrepresented to this community what your plans are when you knew that there was no possible way this new airport could be opened in 3 days. You're going around and now telling people that, oh, well, we'll just open it as a VFR airport, when the FAA has told you, you can't do that either. There are procedures in place, just like you have with code enforcement, just like you have under a myriad of circumstances that have to be followed, procedures that you've known about for months on end. And yet when we came to you on January 18th and asked you, what plan do you have in place? Your response was to the entire community was that, you know, we were nothing more than conspiracy theorists. Those are your words. I believe Sylvia Overby is the one who used that.
I did not use it.
Honestly, how dare you? How dare you now try to gaslight the rest of this community by telling us that we don't know what you're doing? Your goal is to close this airport, close it permanently, and now you're just trying to use the FAA as a scapegoat to cover up your intentional and knowing actions that you have intentionally
that I will say is your conspiracy
to do this.
Yeah, I thank you for calling.
I think I made my point, which is that this is all a plan that you've had in place the entire time.
You're welcome to that opinion. I'll disagree with it. Can we go to the next caller, please?
Well, so will the FAA.
Okay, and next caller. Hello, caller, ending 8764. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Town Board. This is David Buddha, and as they say, and now for something entirely different, turning away from the airport. I'd like to congratulate and applaud the board for taking the time to have a work session discussion of the proposed urban renewal map modification that would have affected 17 Hawthorne Street. I think that is a practice that is woefully missing from many of the significant discussions. Whenever there is more than one rational opinion on a topic that is the subject of a public hearing, I think the town should take the opportunity to discuss the matter in depth, at length, in a work session when possible, and at a minimum before taking a vote on a matter. So I applaud you for having done that. I think that it's very important for the town to follow through on the density reduction intentions of the town board in the period of 2000-2004, when the town became very aware that the Springs was becoming overwhelmed with intense development, and take every opportunity that presented itself to reduce density. It's not only the residents of places like Green Hollow Road, Horse Meadow Lane, and Jones Creek Lane, who are the celebrities and bigwigs and power couples of this community that are entitled to peace and quiet. and a reasonable development pattern and adhesion to zoning standards. The second topic I'd like to just briefly mention, since it looks like you are definitely ready to act on the $10 million purchase of farmland. It's actually 7 acres that's not already reserved for agricultural land that is being planned to be purchased and to be authorized to be purchased. I really would have felt a lot better about this transaction if the town had the courtesy of, after 22 days, to respond to my request that it produces a copy of the town planning department's analysis and evaluation of the. I have concerns and unknowns about whether or not it's practical to expect the land to be converted back to some type of meaningful agriculture. I know that parts of that property had a chicken coop on it. I'm not sure what farming occurred in the past. I'm not sure what kind of farming might occur in the future. The town has a professional planning department that prepares evaluations of all proposed CPF acquisitions. I requested that 22 days ago by way of FOIL and Open Meetings Act law requests, and it's just simply been ignored. Now, I appreciate that your legal department has gone through transition lately and may be understaffed, and you've transferred the responsibility for dealing with FOIL requests, but it's really time to get on the stick and attend to these matters in a timely manner. Now, I did not mention, although a newspaper reporter thought it was a concern that these lands would be purchased from LLCs. I think everyone that's familiar with the area know that Jeff Fagan and Isabel Rose are the real owners of these properties, as well as the adjacent properties, or should I say mansion, at 172 Cedar Street, which also includes another 5-acre ag reserve. So I'm wondering whether the town has an eye on doing something in conjunction with this proposed purchase that will enable the town to ensure that that other adjacent 5-acre ag reserve is put to agricultural uses and not just laid in a fallow condition. And according to the screen, I am now at 0, so I will say thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, David. There was a presentation by Scott Wilson who did show aerial photographs of this property in production, in farm production in the 60s, and it's been laying fallow, I think, for a number of years. We expect it will be farmed.
Moving on to next caller. And hello, caller ending 0062. You are on the air. Hello. Hello, caller ending 00. Hello, caller ending 0062. You're on the air. Hello. All right. Moving on to next caller. Hello, caller ending 6203. You are on the air. Hello.
Hi, this is Russell Munson. I have a small airplane at the airport that I use for aerial photography, and I'm very concerned about this controversy between the FAA letter and the town's position. I would urge you to delay the closing of the airport until this can be legally resolved. Those of us who are using the airport, if it does not reopen on March 1st or March 4th, we're stuck. We can't use our machines, and we can't get them out or go anywhere with them for an indefinite amount of time. So I would urge you to delay this until it can be worked out, and the people who depend on the airport can be assured exactly when it open and under what circumstances. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling, Russell.
And going on to next caller. Hello, hello, caller. Can you please mute your TV in the background? Caller 7770.
Yeah. Hello, caller. Can you please mute your TV in the background?
One moment.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, you're on the air.
Supervisor Von Skoyak, members of the town council. My name is Susie Gelman, and I'm in Sagaponack, and I am a user of the airport. I simply want to endorse the comments about trying to resolve the issues that have now been raised in the letter from the FAA. February 28th is 3.5 weeks away, not very much time. And it seems pretty clear from the letter, from the words of the letter, from a potential interpretation, which may not be your interpretation, but certainly a possible interpretation of the letter, is that closing the airport on February 28th will result in the airport remaining closed for 2 years or permanently. And I just would like to remind members of the Town Council that 80% of the residents of East Hampton would like to see the airport remain open. I have participated in meetings before the Town Council, and I've certainly heard commentary on all sides of this issue, but I think there are a couple of salient facts here. One, East Hampton needs to have a viable airport. I have been saying, along with many, many other folks, including all the people who use the airport, the pilots, et cetera, you have it within your power to work with the user community to come up with reasonable restrictions to the public use airport. You have that in your power without closing it and then trying to reopen, which now seems highly in doubt that that plan will go forward as envisioned by the Town Council. I do appreciate very much all the time and effort that you have put into this issue now for 2 years or more to try to come up with some kind of resolution. But as previous callers have said, I would strongly urge you to go with option 5, given the new information and the potential legal ramifications of closing the airport, perhaps indefinitely or permanently, and what that would do to so many people in our community who do depend upon this airport. Thank you.
Thanks for calling, Susie. Appreciate your comments.
Okay, going on to the next caller. Hello, caller ending 2475. You are on the air. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, hello. You are on the air.
Hi. My name is Dale Imergut. I live in Sagaponack.
I'm sorry,
Planes fly over me.
Could you just restate your name for the record, please? I'm sorry, your audio was a little ruffled.
Yes. Dale Imergut. I-M-M-E-R-G-U-T. I live in Sagaponack. Planes fly over me and helicopters all the time. I have nothing to do with aviation interests. I am an occasional user of the airport. I'm a lawyer, and I was chairman of one of the largest law firms in the world for 18 years. I guess I had 2 or 3 brief thoughts to give you in a constructive way. The first is, if I were advising you individually as members of the town board, I would, as a selfish matter, think about your position here because I would guarantee you, if there's a mishap at the airport, you will all be sued personally in light of this letter having from the FAA. And I don't think that until you have approval of the FAA with all of the issues they've raised here, you're all running a serious personal liability issue if there's any sort of crash or other incident at the airport. And I think you all ought to talk to your personal lawyers to get their views on the exposure that you would all have. The second point is, if I were advising the people that want to keep the airport closed, once you close it, if you try and reopen it 4 days later, I would advise them to go into court and say that it's not safe to reopen it in light of all the issues that the FAA has raised here. And I think that bringing a suit like that will delay for a long time until it's resolved any reopening of the airport. I think in light of having received this letter, the thought that with FAA opposition, you're going to be able to reopen this airport at any time in the near future is not realistic. I'm saying that as a lawyer, not with FAA experience, but with a lot of experience dealing with other government agencies that are not in as sensitive a situation as air traffic control within 70 miles of Kennedy. It's just not going to happen. So I would just suggest that before you take this step, you think about the fact that it's highly unlikely that this plan, in light of this FAA letter, which doesn't surprise me at all, is going to really result in a reopening. And if somehow you all decide that you are going to reopen, having received a letter like this, I just think you're exposing yourself to liability personally, which you didn't assume when you took these jobs, which of course we're all glad that you've done and are spending the time doing. Those are my thoughts.
Mr. Abigut, thanks so much for making your comments known to us. We appreciate them.
And I'll move on to next caller. Okay, cycling back to hello caller ending 1197. You're on the air. Are you there? Hello caller ending 1197. You're on the air. Hello. Okay, still no response from that, and one more caller who is unresponsive. Hello caller ending 0062. You're on the air. Hello. Hello caller. Okay, aside from that, we have no new callers. Let me just double check that I am absolutely certain. All right, we don't have any new callers on the line right now, and the other ones have been cycled back to.
Thank you, Jason. We appreciate the public's participation in today's meeting. At this point, we can move on with resolutions. Kathy, you have resolutions to offer?
I do, starting with Resolution 2022-209. It's approval of the warrant. The claims for 2021 total $686,605.11. Claims for 2022 total $1,533,023.58. The utility warrant for 2021 totals $21,087.43, and the utility warrant for 2022 totals $64,409.25.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye, pass and carry.
2022-210 is to amend Resolution 2022-149. It was warrant 1B. The total amount should be $64,256.03.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pass and carried.
2022-211 is to amend the agreement with the Suffolk County Office for the Aging to provide an organized nutrition program for our seniors. This extends the agreement through the end of the year, December 31st, and it increases the amount of compensation to the town by $6,000. The new total is $224,946.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
212 is to approve the 2022 Wins for Safety Service Review, and this is a review of driver files in preparation for the New York State Department of Transportation. It's for the total cost of $500, and this is for our senior transportation program.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried.
213 is to approve the 2022 New York State Department of Transportation testing. And this is Windsor Safety Service to provide the required mandated annual defense driving test for our senior transportation drivers at $100 per test. Windsor Safety Service to provide the required behind the wheels tests and written tests for our senior transportation drivers at a cost of $200 per test. And that Meeting House Lane Medical Practice to provide the mandated physical exams for drivers when necessary at a cost of $150 per exam.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
214 is to rename the Adolescent Mental Health and Substance Use Task Force to the East Hampton Youth Task Force and to appoint members for 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
I'd like to offer Resolution 2022-215. This is a schedule of public hearing for a real property acquisition for Meyer. Proponent owners Anna Meyer, locations 18 Jones Creek, East Hampton Village, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map 301-12-4-3. 2.7 acres of land. Purported purchase price is $8.5 million, which should be split in interest with Peconic Land Trust. The town's portion is not to exceed $4,250,000. The public portion, I apologize, the meeting will be held on February 17th, 2022 at 11 a.m.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
216 is appoint part-time environmental aid in aquaculture Elliot Fisher, hourly rate of $20.15 to be paid bi-weekly, effective February 7th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
217 is appoint seasonal snow removal drivers in the highway department for the 2022 season at an hourly rate of $30 per hour. Steve Lynch Jr. and Steven Sensei.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
218 is authorization for CCOM to install floating wetlands in Fort Pond for a year or two. This comes out of the Water Quality Technical Advisory Committee, an RFA, from 2019.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
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 Passed and carried.
219 is accept LK McLean and Association proposal for engineering services for the Montauk Skate Park renovation expansion project, specifically Task F for construction administration, from the proposal dated February 16, 2021, for the cost of an amount of $7,400.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed and carried.
2022-220 is to create account CM fund for Long Island Workforce Act. We are going to be creating these funds in anticipation of sales of property for affordable housing projects to in conjunction with the development of both 395 Panago Road project and the 114 affordable housing projects. We are starting the accounts for CM fund line for calendar year 2022. For payment in lieu, a subdivision of $150,000, outside professional for $140,000, and permits and fees for $10,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
221 is to hire an archaeologist for 395 Panaco Road project. Again, this is to do a phase 1 archaeological examination to be performed as a first step in the development of this project. We secured a proposal from Tracker Archaeology dated January 13th, 2022, and I would like to propose accepting that proposal at a cost not to exceed $4,300.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
222 is Pheasant Woods Lane road improvements to approve clearing, shipping, and related costs for pedestrians materials. This is going to go on to the road improvement district. The additional costs will be coming under the East Hampton Highway contract at a total cost of $18,800.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
2022-223 is accept a donation of a memorial bench, a gift from Stephen Dickman. He would like to donate a memorial bench as a gift to the town of East Hampton in memory of his wife, Ellen Frank, and his friend, Robert Olson, to be placed at the end of the path on the Water of Squaw Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
224 is authorizing the project plan resolution for the properties of Lilac 45 LLC, Jezebel 21 LLC, and Mayday 68 LLC for the CPF project plan. We heard this at a public hearing on January 20th, 2022, and I hereby would like to motion to accept them and put them into the project plan addition.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
225 is authorize the CPF acquisition of the properties located at 186, 190, 192, 194, 196, 198, and a 5.1 acre reserve at Cedar Street, East Hampton, New York. The purchase price is $10 million. We had the public hearing on January 20th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
2022-226 is authorize the project plan, authorize addition to the CPF project plan, authorizing for the Lachevsky property. We again had this public hearing on January 20th, 2022 at 11 a.m. Tax map is 300-23-2-31. Property is located at 61 Isle of Wight Road in Springs.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
227 is to authorize the CPF acquisition of the property at 61 Isle White Road Springs, tax map 300-23-2-31. The proposed owner is Alex Lachevsky. Public hearing was held on January 20th, 2022. The purchase price is not to exceed $1,285,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
228 is authorize an intermunicipal agreement regarding street light maintenance for the village of Sag Harbor. This agreement shall the town shall receive payments from Sag Harbor for the yearly sum of $21,000 annually for fiscal year 2022 and 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Passed and carried.
229 is a payout upon retirement for John Lester. John Lester retires as a highway fleet service manager in the highway department, effective 1/14/2022. He has resolved that the finance office authorized to issue a check through payroll from the appropriate payroll account for vacation time in the amount of $24,763.71. Sick time, $31,307.35. Compensatory time of $455.26. Prorated longevity in the amount of $292.31 for a total gross payout of $56,818.63 to be paid to John Lester. And John, thank you for your longevity at the town.
Yeah. Second. And again, thank you, John.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 2022-230 is the grant of scenic and conservation easement to schedule a public hearing. The public hearing will take place Thursday, February 17th at 11 a.m. It's for Patricia McCarthy, 2017 Irrevocable Trust, William Worm, trustee, and the location is 21 Reuter Place in Montauk.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 2022-231 is to retain engineering for methane monitoring for the landfill sites for 2022. And this is for both Springs Fireplace Road Landfill and the Montauk Landfill. FPM Group Limited has performed the monitoring of these wells for many years and are familiar with the requirements of the DEC as well as specific circumstances of each landfill. And so for the calendar year 2022, the cost not to exceed $46,541.80 for the Springs Fireplace Road Landfill, $48,125.30 for the Montauk Landfill, said, and they've been budgeted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 2022-232 is to hire an appraiser for Wellbone Woods Home, town of East Hampton. It's located at 22 McLania Street in East Hampton. It's for the purpose of maintaining affordable housing. And we need secure an appraisal on this property to reflect the fair market value. And resolve that Clark and Marshall is hereby retained to prepare an appraisal. That total fee for said appraisal shall not exceed $1,100.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 2022-233 is the Manor House project. This is for an attorney general filing fee post-closing. This is for Sittelman Balin will prepare and will submit a required post-closing amendment to the offering plan at the direction of the town. And Donna Marie Korth, Esquire of Sittelman Balin, will, in the amount of not to exceed $225 as special counsel for the town.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Resolution 2022-234 is Manor House rent and common charges accounts. Whereas 11 of the 12 units at the Manor House condominium have closed and the homeowners association has been turned over to the residents, the town remains the owner of one of the units. The town is obligated to pay common charges of $512 per month to the Manor Home condominium and property taxes as owner of the unit. The unit is currently occupied by a contract buyer who is obligated to pay the town an occupancy charge, consisting the common charges and the taxes until such time as the unit closes. So we're opening accounts that are to be created in the Community Housing Opportunity Fund for rental of the property, $3,774, contractual services of $3,072, and permits and fees for $702.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 235 is extension of lease for 776 Route 114. This again is an affordable house that's being leased to Melissa Mosley and Richard Williams as qualified renters, according to the housing department. And the town had a resolution to authorize the lease for 2 years. And we are now extending that lease to the, January 31st, 2023 at the rental rate of, I believe, where is it? $2,500 per month.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 2022-236 is to accept security and undertaking for urban renewal parcel 38 in EH12. It is for Brendan Moffett and Giancarlo Bruno, and it's 174 Queens Lane in the amount of $12,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 237 is to accept a road widening easement for urban renewal parcel 68 in EH2A. And it is, the contractor is Paul Porco Custom Homes. It's in urban renewal parcel, I already did that, 68, and it's at Barnes Avenue.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Resolution 2022-238 is notice to bidders, EH22-007, disposal site for ground leaves, bid available 2/3/22, and the bid is due on 2/17/22.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
Resolution 2022-239 is a payout upon retirement of Michael Stikowski. Michael is an automotive equipment operator in the sanitation department, and his full-time employee as retirement is at 1/4/2022. An accrued vacation time balance, let me just read the numbers, the dollar numbers. The vacation time is $1,753.76. Sick time, $153.11. Longevity amount of $19.23, and a gross total payout of $1,925.94.
Less 16 cents.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
If I could just say one thing about Michael Stikowski. So Michael's been working in sanitation, as Sylvia knows, and others for years. He's a gentleman that I always see working there. And Recycling Center, East Hampton, is very tough to keep clean. Let's just be honest. He's always working. It's always stay clean when he's working there. I commended him as a resident. I still commend him as a town councilman. Fair winds. I want to say thank you very much for his time at the town, because it was noticeable by many, Michael. It really was.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Thank you.
I second that as well, David.
Thank you.
Passed and carried.
Okay. I have a few resolutions today. One is Resolution 2022-240, and this is to rescind Resolution 2021-848 and a budget modification in natural resources. And there was a resolution passed in 2021-773, which awarded the Natural Resources Department funding in the amount of $50,000 for final engineering design for stormwater abatement projects to capture the flow of runoff for treatment before entering Georgia Pond at the 27 rest stop as a non-point source pollution abatement project. And the town board, pursuant to resolution 2021-848, directed the budget office to make a budget modification moving $50,000 to the Natural Resources Department to fund the project to be reimbursed through the CPF water quality funding as a grant following completion of the project. And now, upon review of the Natural Resources, CPF, and financial departments, it was determined that the project would be best administered and funded directly through CPF water quality rather than as a grant. And the funding has been expended on the project to date, and monies have not been formally transferred. So therefore, we will now hereby rescind Resolution 2021-848, and the budget increase to the Natural Resources Department is negated, and the budget office is directed to reverse the increases to the budget line and to close out any associated purchase orders. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried.
The next resolution is 2022-241. This is to amend a resolution 2020-424 and approve a salary rate. And whereas we adopted a resolution 2020-424, which promoted Melissa Winslow to senior environmental analyst at an hourly rate equal to grade 31, step 3, effective March 11, 2020. And the town finance department has determined that Ms. Winslow should have been promoted to step 31, grade 4, effective March 11, 2020, and now wishes to correct said error. Therefore, it is resolved that Ms. Winslow retains her title of Senior Environmental Analyst, and we approve her salary equal to step 31, grade 4, retroactive to March 11th, and she will be continued to be paid from the budget account appropriate. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. Resolution 242 is to authorize the sale of real property at 3 Knoll Lane. The deed provided for the town to sell the property and utilize proceeds for affordable housing in the event that the town determined the property itself was not suitable for affordable housing. That is the case, and felt that due to the location and zoning wasn't appropriate for that use, and therefore is deemed it surplus property. The proceeds of which will have to go into affordable housing within Wainscott School District. And this is subject to permission referendum. The town East Hampton supervisor is hereby authorized to execute the contract sale and other such documents as may be required to transfer the title of surplus property 3 Knoll Lane, a sum of $915,000 to Michael Sauer.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Passed and carried. 243 is 2022 Police Department rates for traffic control officers.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. 244 is to amend the CSEA Schedule A to regrade titles, whereas the CSEA Schedule A is hereby amended to reflect regrading the following titles, which are all currently vacant, effective January 1st, 2022. It includes Justice Court Cashier, clerk, Spanish speaking, senior cashier, bus driver, community service worker, Spanish speaking, account clerk, Spanish speaking, and adult daycare program supervisor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. 245 is a resolution adopting provisions of Executive Order Number 11, dispensing with the need to accept renewal applications for the senior citizens exemption and the limited income disability exemption on taxes. This is an extension of that provision due to COVID.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pass and carried. 246 is to approve Promised Land Fire Protection District agreement for 2022. And resolve the agreement is for fire protection ambulance services. It's hereby approved under the terms proposed. The supervisor is authorized to enter into the agreement for the same, subject to approval of town attorney, and that the payment of $560,028.98 shall be made for such services from a 12-month period of 2022 from the appropriate budget account.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pass and carry. 247 is to approve purchase of refreshments for the police department, whereas town police department from time to time hosts meeting and training sessions, various entities, including East End Chiefs, Chief of Police Association. Town board hereby approves the purchase of refreshments not to exceed a total of $500 for the year of 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. 248 is to authorize the supervisor to execute contract with the chief of police, whereas the contract between the town of East Hampton and Chief Sarlo expired December 31st, 2020. And whereas the town and the chief are desirous of continuing his service as chief, supervisors hereby authorized direct to tender into employment contract with Chief Michael Sarlo for a term ending in December 31st, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. And we do appreciate your service to the town, Chief. 249, amend resolution number 2022-203, L.K. McLean Associates Engineering Services for drainage at Stephen Hand's Path. And this is to increase the fee limits. Whereas originally proposed cap was $117,000 and the consulting engineers advised additional funding in the sum of $24,800 is anticipated to complete the work. Therefore, resolve the professional engineering costs of L.K. McLean as set forth in resolution 2020-574 is hereby increased by $24,800 to an amount not to exceed $141,800.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed and carried. 250, this is Gerald Weinberg, PC Attorneys at Law, has been retained by code enforcement for the process of appearance tickets with Secretary of State of Enforcement Proceedings in East Hampton Town Justice Court as needed at a cost of $15 plus $10 filing fee for a total of $25 for service.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed, carried. Resolution 251 is approved the Sixth Amendment of the license agreement for American Tower. Resolved that consistent with the Sixth Amendment, the town's monthly license fee shall be increased by $4,924.13.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. David, I believe you have an additional resolution.
I do. I have an additional resolution I'd like to offer. ID is 27360. This authorizes a temporary license agreement with the Montauk Historical Society for the Carl Fisher House and Annex located at 44 Foxborough Road, Montauk, for the preservation of historic property, open space, and recreation. The Historical Society is a nonprofit organization dedicated to preserving the history of Montauk. And we discussed this at the work session this past Tuesday. And this also temporary license agreement is for a 120-day period from signature.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed and carried. Any other resolutions to offer? Entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I make a motion to go into executive session for advice of counsel. That's all I have. Is there anything else, John?
Do we have any CPF?
We do not.
I don't believe so. I think that's it.
It'll be Tuesday. So advice counsel, and we can go right into exec. Does that work for everyone?
Yes.
Very well. We'll send the link momentarily.
So I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pass and carried. Thanks very much, everyone. Be safe. Stay well.